Welcome back to another video on our 2D game basics using Unity. In this video we're going to continue looking at some simple AI behaviors for our enemies, and we're going to be looking today in particular at how to get our enemy to chase our player. So know where the player is and then attempt to move to where the player is. That's going to be our idea. So in our game, again, we have our spider, and he has a spider script here, and we want to set this up so that when we're playing the game, if the player gets within a certain range of the spider, so we're going to give the spider a chase range. If the player gets within that range, the spider will then attempt to move towards the player. When the player gets outside of that range again, then the spider will stop trying to chase the player. So it's kind of an awareness range or an aggro range or whatever you want to call it. So let's go into our script for our spider, and we're going to add a section here for chasing the player. Alright, so the first thing we're going to need to know is the spider needs to know who the player is. Who's he supposed to be chasing? So we're going to add up here at the top in our variables, we're going to add a public transform called target. Okay, this is the target of the spider, who he's trying to kill. Alright, and then we're also going to need a public float, which is going to be our chase range. So this is how many Unity units we need to be within the target for the spider to start chasing him. Okay, then down in our update function here, every frame, what we need to do is we need to see if we're close enough to start chasing the player. So we're going to need to get the distance to the target and check to see if it is close enough to chase. So to do that, we're going to declare a temporary little float variable called distance to target. Whoop. No spaces there. Distance to target, and we're going to set that equal to vector3 dot distance. This is a built-in Unity function where we can give it a point A and a point B, and it will return the distance between them as a float number. So we're going to give it point A, which is where we currently are. So transform dot position. And then we're going to give it where we want to go, which is going to be our target's position. We made target a transform variable. So target gets us the transform, and then we say dot position will get us the XYZ position of the target. So that's going to return to us the distance as a float in Unity units between the spider and the target, in this case our player. Next we need to check to see if we're close enough. So this is an if statement. So we're going to say if distance to target is less than our chase range. That means we're close enough to chase down the player. So here we're going to start chasing the player, or the target, I guess. Start chasing the target, which means we're going to turn and move towards the target. Alright, so this is going to take a little bit of math. We have to figure out where the target is in relation to the spider, and then we have to figure out how many degrees we'd have to rotate our spider to face it. It's a lot like when we did the patrolling in the last video. We're going to use actually a lot of the same exact code to figure this out. So we're going to start with a vector3, and this is going to be our target direction, and we're going to set the equal to our target dot position minus our position, the transform dot position. This will get us a vector that points from where we are to where our target is. Okay, then we're going to need a float variable here to compute the angle, so we're going to call that angle, and this is going to be a mathf dot a tan2, and we're going to feed it our target direction dot y, comma, our target direction dot x, and then we take that times mathf dot rad 2 degree to get that converted back into angles. And again, just like in the patrol one, we need to offset that by 90 degrees because of the direction that our spider was drawn in, that he's pointing in. Okay, so that's going to get us the angle that we need to turn towards. Then we have to get that into a quaternion. So quaternion Q equals quaternion angle axis, and we feed it the angle, and we're going to give it a vector 3 dot forward. Alright, and we got an extra open parenthesis here that's causing us some issues. There we go. So we have this as a quaternion called Q. Now that we have that, we can figure out how to rotate towards Q and give it a speed that it can rotate towards. So we'll say transform dot rotation is going to equal quaternion dot rotate towards. That's going to rotate us to where we want to be, and we're going to say transform dot rotation and we're going to feed it Q, which is our quaternion. So we're taking our from rotation where we currently rotated, where we want to be rotated, how many degrees per unit can I, or per frame can I turn towards it. We'll put that 180 back in there so we can, he's just going to turn really, really fast. 180 degrees in a frame if he needs to. Okay, and that will get him turning in the right direction. And then to get him moving in the right direction, we'll say transform dot translate, and we're going to give it the vector 3 up, and then we're going to take it times time dot delta time times our speed. So in this case, unlike patrolling, we only want to move if the player is in range. If the player is not in range, we're going to just leave the spider sitting right where he is. So if we're in range, we're within the chase range, we're going to figure out where that target is in relation to us. We're going to figure out what the angle is in degrees that we need to rotate to be facing it. We're going to convert that into a quaternion so that it takes into account our current direction of facing and how to rotate there. Then we're going to do this rotate towards, which will take where we are right now, where we want to be, and give us the opportunity to take a little time to turn. In this case, I'm just turning pretty much instantly, and then we'll go ahead and move in the direction that we're facing. So this will cause us to chase after the player. So that was a lot of typing here. Let's save this and make sure we didn't make any errors, and set this up on the Unity side, and then we should be able to start chasing our player. So on my spider enemy here, I now have a target that's going to be my player. So whatever I want him to chase around, I can just put him in there. So that's going to be my skeleton. And then the chase range, let's make that 3 units so that we can have enough room to get away from him. See if he stops chasing, we get out of that range. Let's hit play and see what happens. Alright, so currently we're more than 3 units away, but if I get close enough, I'm within 3 units, he starts to chase me. Notice how he's rotating towards me every frame and trying to catch me. Now, if I get far enough away, I'm faster than him, so I should be able to get far enough away, then he stops moving. Okay, he stops trying to rotate towards me and all that. If I get close enough again, he starts back up. So that is a very simple way to have an enemy chase us. And of course, you know, we can increase or decrease that range depending on different conditions. And there's lots of ways to do a system like this. But that's the basics of a simple enemy AI for he can chase us around. Okay, hope you found that useful and helpful. In the next video, we'll be talking about how we can do some attacking. And until then, thanks for watching.